there. This is Real Talk Baseball and Carlos Baseball. With me, as always, is Ernie Orange. We have a great show for you guys today. Only a few days before opening day. We're excited. I know there was 2 games in Japan, but I think this is more exciting, right, Ernie?
That is right. Opening day, 3 days away. We're more than ready for it. It's been a long off season, and I think all 30 teams are ready to compete for their World Series 2025, right? It's going to be interesting.
It's
We
gonna be
have a
interesting.
monster Dodger team ready to repeat again, and we have a Yankee team that unfortunately it's a bit banged up going into the season, but there's a lot of baseball left to start, and we're ready to go.
Yeah, and not only that, but you just said it's a long season. I guess off season. To
Yeah,
me, it felt like really short, dude.
really.
I guess because the World Series happened and all these things were going on. I guess my team went all the way, right? So when you
Okay.
see your team go all the way, I think it's an extra month of baseball. And those, if you're out there and you're a fan and you think it's just easy to be a fan and not participate in those games, it's stressful. Really
It really is.
stressful. Yeah, so I think if you're a Dodger hater, I'm pretty sure it's stressful for you too, because you want the Dodgers to lose, and when they win, you're just mad that the Dodgers won, right? So I
Yeah,
think
exactly.
it's been really stressful, dude.
Right. For me, on the other hand, it was June last season, and I already knew my team was not going to make the playoffs. It was already over. And so it's felt like a really long offseason. But having to see the Dodgers win was a pretty interesting one because they had to really fight back. They did something I had never seen was a team not have great starting rotation, banged up with injuries, but they still found a way to win that World Series, which is kind of special if you ask me.
Yeah,
Something
yeah.
never seen before.
Yeah, true. And we're gonna talk about that a while, like for a while, I think. And if it doesn't happen again for the Dodgers, we're gonna definitely talk about it for a while because we're gonna say the best team ever assembled. They only got one World Series, like serious, So they're going back at it again for this 2025 season. So that's what we're gonna talk about this show. We're gonna talk about our predictions and division predictions and wild card, potentially wild cards. We'll talk about the Cy Youngs award winners that are potentials out there because there's a lot of candidates. And of course, we'll talk about MVPs. Are there going to be new MVPs in the National League? And there's a lot of players that can run for that MVP because now, if you haven't heard, Otani is going to pitch this year. And that's going to take up a little bit more of his time worrying about pitching. So, is that going to affect his MVP candidacy when he comes to hitting? And, we'll see. He did it with the Angels. I mean, he could do it
Yeah.
again. And then Aaron Judge, he's going to have, I don't know if he has competition in the American League. I mean, Bobby Witt Jr. is out there. We could probably discuss that. But, if there's going to be new MVPs, we'll definitely see what we think when we get to that category. But first, let's go ahead and start with the NL West. And let's start with this division. Why? Because it's one of the stacked divisions and we're in the West Coast. Why not? Right? So you want to take it from here, Ernie?
Oh man, this is going to be a tough division this year. Even though the Dodgers are repeating as World Series champions, they got some competition in them. You're talking about a Padres team that still has most of the roster put together and are still willing to compete. They're not going to forget what happened last year. And Manny Machado and Tatis are really pissed. So they're going to come hard and try to compete. Now you
Yeah.
got and then you got a Diamondbacks team. Only got better. They went ahead and got more pitching and got the one of the best righty pitchers in baseball right now. Corbin Burns, been one of the best known for his ERA and continues to every year get a lot of great innings from him. The only team here that I'm kind of disappointed is the Rockies. They had a really tough offseason, really didn't spend. Their owner came out and said there should be a salary cap. They really had a bad offseason, man. They traded Nolan Jones yesterday to the Guardians, one of their top tier players they had there. Not that they have many, right? And
Yeah.
so don't see the Rockies making any noise this year, unfortunately. They were probably sit in last place. The Giants, I am impressed of the offseason they had. I think they do have some potential to grow. Buster Posey's trying to develop a great team out there, bringing Willie Adames, and it's going to get better. Now, will they be able to overtake the Padres? That's a tough one there, but I could see them giving a tough battle there for third place. They have better pitching now with Logan Webb, Justin Verlander. That Padres team, though, it scares me. I don't see them winning the division, actually, because I feel their pitching is kind of suspect. You lost Darvish to an injury start the season. You're not sure Joe Musgrove's out for the year. Uh, Robert Suarez, your closer. There's a lot of question marks for me in their pitching. Yes, they have Dylan Cease and Michael King, but they're going to probably get rid of Dylan Cease too. There's not enough money there. There was a family battle fighting for the rights of the team. It's not looking pretty there. And so, not sure if the Padres could make some deep noise, some deep run this year. Now, on the other hand, the Diamondbacks, it's a scary team. It's a team that was considered the best offensive team last season. At Corbin Burns, they continue to have Merrill Kelly, Zach Gallen. This team is built to win. I'm a guy that appreciates good pitching, and I think that's what this Diamondbacks team has. Now, can they overcome this Dodger team? Because this Dodger team is built to win. This team had small holes going into the postseason last season, and they only got better. They found pieces. Michael Conforto, bringing in nice depth there. They went ahead and letting go Ryan Brazier, and they brought Tanner Scott, one of the best closers in the game. They just continue to do things all the time. Gavin Lux was struggling. Don't worry. We'll ship him out and get somebody else. And that's what they continue to do. It's one of the deepest rotations in baseball, Carlos. So do you see the Dodgers winning again? Because it's obvious. I think the whole MLB will say Dodgers are the heavily favorites here.
Yeah, and I have them heavily favorite too. So I would just skip the Dodgers right now, but I'll go start from my number 5 on that division, and it is the Rockies. The Rockies haven't shown that they're gonna be a team to be reckoned with, because I feel like the team is not really doing anything. I mean, you have your guy Ezekiel Tovar, Brenton Doyle, you have Chris Bryant whenever he decides not to get injured, gets picked to play with Colorado. So they still need to decide what is it that they're doing out there in Colorado. If they decide to compete, then they will be able to compete. Remember, the owner came out saying that there should be a ceiling to contracts and there should be a floor, and he didn't do anything this offseason. So what are you talking about? And he is in a competitive division, and I just feel like the Rockies need to do a lot more for the team to contend and to be I don't know, a team that competes, because I don't see them doing anything. So are they the worst team in the league? I don't think they are, but they need to do something else to compete in the NOS. So I have them 5th. I go to the next one, and this one's a tough one for me because I kind of feel like it could go either way with these 4 teams. I know that one of those 4 teams is not going to reach all the way to the first place, and I'll pick the Giants in the 4th place because I think they are still in that development to where they have a lot of players that are in contract year. You have Wade, Rogers, Camilo Duvall, which is one of those players that it was a closer, and if they decide to do a fire sale, they can go ahead and do it, get more new players, and that's where the Giants are going to start developing their team and developing to the right way. They're doing it the right way right now. Like you said, they did sign some good players this offseason, like Willie Adames and of course Verlander and other players that already been in the team. So I have them 4th. The 3rd place for me is the San Diego Padres. And like you said, there's a lot of question marks. It looks like the same team, but they did lose some of the key players that made it to the playoffs in 2024. So I just feel like when they lost Profar, that's one of the big things for them to lose. Han-Sang Kim, another player that played all over the place for them. And those are huge. And if you say they're not, I mean, I don't know what you're doing, but I just feel like those were big key players. And then you're talking about Michael King is going to be the ace of the staff. So I don't know if he's ever done that. It's a big responsibility. He's going to go against other aces. He's a good pitcher, but is he up for that challenge? And then you're looking at Dylan Cease, where we don't know if he's going to get traded. So that sucks. Now, second, of course, the Diamondbacks. And we've talked about the Diamondbacks. It's a sneaky team. They made that one move with Corbin Burns, and they just going to be solid. I think they take the first wild card spot over the NL in all the divisions. I think they're going to be I don't know, they're going to give the Dodgers a run for their money. And I think hopefully you guys remember this show. If they do eliminate the Dodgers in the playoffs, I think the D-backs have the chance to do that. So yeah, okay. I'll leave it there.
Oof.
Yeah. Too much information.
No, it's great. It's perfect. It's one of the heavily toughest divisions we have in baseball right now. And it's going to be a good one to see. Even though we have the defending champions coming in as one of the power teams in baseball, nothing's given, like you said in the past. And this Diamondback team wants to win, and so does the Padres.
Yeah,
it's tough, man. I think they're gonna fight each other out, and it depends. That 2, 3, 4 spot, it's gonna depend who's the healthiest team come October, because there's injuries happen in this game, right? Every day we hear about somebody going down, and it all depends who can stay the healthiest, what arms continue to stay active down in September to win this wild card at least.
Yeah. Yeah. And I would just go ahead and say this, like the Dodgers are looking to trade or heard rumors that they're looking to trade Bobby Miller. So what are
Yeah,
they going to try to get for him? Tony Gonsolin's another one that was thrown out there that might get traded from the Dodgers because remember the Dodgers are so stacked. They went and got their bullpen piece and Tanner Scott. They went and got their starter Roki Sasaki. They went and got Michael Conforto to help out. They went and signed Teoscar, they signed Kike, they signed like so
they
it's
brought everyone back.
they brought everyone back and they're ready to go to run it back. And I mean, it's a complete team. When you talk about complete teams, this one comes to mind. Even if you go back in the days to the 1950s, 1940s Yankees, you're comparing those two and you're like, whoa, there's no holes in this team. So there's no way they should lose the World Series, right? Or they should lose this division. This division, but I mean, it's baseball. Anything can happen. The ball bounces some the other way sometimes, and it's against you, and that's how the game is, you know. So you don't play the other team, you play the ball, and that's what it is.
True.
So yeah,
Quick question for you.
yeah. What's up?
Padres, are they going to be a wild card team? You have them finishing third in the division. Is that a wild card team for you?
They're going to be competing with the last spot. I feel that they're going to be competing with the last spot with, and this is where I kind of find it a little hard with the Phillies or whoever is on the east side because the east side have those three big giants, and we'll get to it, of course. But
Yeah,
I think it's going to be in that division out there that they're going to be battling with it. So if the Padres do not make those changes or make improvements, because remember, Tatis, you said it, Tatis and Machado want to get to the playoffs so they can go ahead and go all the way to the World Series. Tatis, I think a lot of people are saying he might be the best baseball player out there right now. And this is a year to prove it. So he can be an MVP and he can carry this team out there. So if he does that,
they
then
need that from them.
yeah, exactly they need that from him. And I'll go ahead and put a question mark on that second spot for the Padres because I want to talk about the other divisions
Yeah,
and
yeah, yeah. I went
don't
too
want to
ahead.
yeah,
I
and
went a little too ahead.
don't want to give out my whole answer on it, but I do see them battling with that extra team for sure.
For
Let's
sure.
move on to the next one, man. We got the AL West, and go ahead, Ernie. This is where your team is at, man.
Oh man, can we just say my team's not winning the division? Just straight up. I love my Angels. I've been a supporter for years, but they didn't do enough for me this offseason. Yusei Kikuchi is not the answer for me as your number one starter. It's an improvement, but it still needs a lot of work. We have a lot of young talent that's still developing. Christian Moore is going to be called up. Nolan Shonell, Zach Neto looking promising, hitting 20 last season, 20 home runs, 20 stolen bases. He has some potential. Like Logan O'Hoppe does too with the veteran like Mike Trout. They're moving in the right direction. Yet, I still see them finishing fifth in the division. I'm sorry, Angel fans. Sorry, but it does not look great to go all the way.
And
Now,
you know what,
fourth,
Ernie? But you're a realist. You're seeing your
yeah,
players and you're seeing your team, and you're like, is this enough? Is this enough to help Trout? You know, and that's respected, dude, because there's a lot of fans like me. When I pick my team, everybody, oh, because it's the Dodgers. Like, no, dude, look at the team. We're judging the team. And that's good, man. I respect that. I respect that.
yeah, and unfortunately, you know, we're not going to do nothing this year, but we're heading in the right direction. And for me, that's what really matters. I can't expect all these young 22, 23-year-old guys to take us to the World Series. It's not going to happen. Let's be real. What we want to see from these young guys is for them to continue to develop and become all-stars and be able to make some deep playoff runs down the road with
Yeah.
a veteran like Mike Trout. And it's going to happen, but it'll probably not happen within the next 2-3 years. But it's coming. Angel fans, be patient. It's part of the process. It's part of the rebuilding era. Now we have an ace team, which I do see them finishing fourth. They're going to be impressive. I do see them finishing 500 ball, though. And it's a team that continues to – they decided to spend this offseason. They went ahead and got Luis Severino. They brought a bullpen guy, Jose Leclerc from the Rangers. They spent some money, and everybody was in a bit of a shock. But, hey, looks like the ownership was actually serious about moving Oakland and was like, you know, John Fisher was like, we're going to bring a good team to Sacramento and heading to Vegas in the right path.
Yeah.
Great for them. And they're also developing a lot of young talent there, and it's heading in the right direction. But I don't think it's enough. Now, these last three teams, man, they've been in the mix these past couple seasons. And the Rangers team, it's considered a lot heavily favored to me, but I don't see them going deep this year again. They're the World Series champion of 2023, but I have a lot of question marks on their pitching staff. Jacob deGrom is coming back, but who are we going to get from him? Can he stay healthy? There's a lot of question marks. They just lost a couple pitchers. Cody Bradford, John Gray's out for a couple months, and it's not looking good. So for me, pitching matters a lot, and they don't have it. And there's a lot of question marks for me.
Okay.
Now, the Astros. Oh, man. You
Oh,
know, I'm not seeing them winning the division either. Now, I do see them finishing a top wildcard team and making the playoffs. But for me, they also have a lot of question marks. Now, you went ahead and got rid of Kyle Tucker. You moved off Justin Verlander. And the team just looks like they're not spending as much money anymore. You know, they let Alex Bregman go. They're top tier third baseman. Some big losses there, man. I don't think Framber Valdez, Ronel Blanco, Spencer Arrighetti, Hunter Brown is the answer for a division winner. And when you see the Mariners rotation, you're like, wow, that's considered one of the greatest rotations we have this decade. It has to be a playoff team. And with Julio Rodriguez and Randy Arozarena being in the mix and Randy finally having a full season under his belt in Seattle, they're going to get some offensive home runs this year and put in some RBIs in there and win this division. You know, they were one game out last season. They're going to get it this year, Carlos.
damn. Okay. Well,
that's my big shocker for everyone. Mariners. I don't
Mariners.
care what people say. People must think I'm crazy right now, but I think this Mariner team has something what it takes. As long as they hit 15 in the batting average and get some pop, they're going to be just fine.
All right. So since you called the third, I guess the Mariners to win the division, I agree with you with the Angels. They're moving the right direction, but they didn't do enough to try to get to win the division or try to get up there to a wild card spot. It might shock us if they do that, and if they don't, I mean, a fire sale. It's what we're expecting from this team because they're signed Tim Anderson, right? They have Jorge Soler. So teams are going to be calling the Angels, and this is where the Angels need to go ahead and get prospects for these players, and this is the right direction. That's the right direction you're talking about. The A's, they did make a little bit of moves here and there. They can compete. I'm picking them on fourth like you are. Now, I'm picking the Mariners third. Ooh. And why I'm picking the Mariners third, we talked about their pitching, how great they are, how many runs they allowed, which is not a lot, but they're hitting. Their hitting has not been up to par to where they need to be doing. Julio Rodriguez hasn't shown up in 2 seasons. Julio Rodriguez hasn't carried a team. They went and got Arozarena last year, and they didn't do a lot of stuff. Now, I'm not picking on the Mariners that they are the team that they're disappointing. I'm not saying that. It's just I feel like there's not enough a crew to lift that team up.
They're missing a piece.
Yeah, they're missing a key piece, and that key piece can probably be a coach. And that's why I'm picking the Rangers being second, because they have Bruce Bochy. Bruce Bochy went to the Texas Rangers, and in his first year, he won the World Series for them. Yeah, you got Corey Seager there. You got Simeon, of course. You have what's his name? Adolis Garcia. So yeah. It's gonna happen for the Rangers to play good because you have a good manager in that team. And that manager knows how to lift those players up, knows how to understand their attitude, knows what they need to go ahead and move forward to try to win the ball games. Pitching, again, if you had the Mariners pitching with that hitting, then you're talking about a different story. But they're pitching DeGrom. Is he going to be able to stay healthy this year? Is he going to be able to lead this team? He's not going to be the opening day starter. Ovaldi's going to be the opening day starter. So
they need that true ace.
Exactly. So when he comes back for the Rangers and he gets into form, then we'll see what happens. Maybe they can battle for that West. So now I'm picking the Astros. Why? Because they've been there. They still have Altuve. They still have Jordan Alvarez. They have Pena there. Like I just feel like it's gonna be good for them. They need to start over, and you still have your veteran core. You have your rookies moving up, and you have okay pitching. And I think it's just going to work well for the Astros. I know they put Altuve out in the outfield. He's kind of struggling out there, but as the games go on, he's going to get better out there. And I think the Astros, and I hate saying the Astros winning this division and any division, but that's the truth. I just feel like they're a little bit more complete team and have a little bit of the veteran presence and the rookie presence. They have a good dynamic of that presence there. So that's why I'm picking them. And if they don't win, then I'm happy, but I'm picking them right now. So if you don't agree, I mean, it's cool. I don't mind. I don't mind. This
It's
one's
time for a
tough,
new
dude.
era. It's a tough
I
one.
think
It's a
so.
tough division because
Yeah,
it's open. It's anybody could win this division. Now
yeah.
the question is who's going to be healthy and who's going to deliver in September because Houston was playing terrible last season and we're heading down the wrong direction all season and somehow the last 2 months of the season they turned it around, won the division in the last day of the season. Can they continue to that same mentality, playing bad all season and changing it up? I just feel like this Mariners team is not going to let this happen a second time around.
They shouldn't. They shouldn't. They have all the chances in the world to do it. But the ownership needs to get on board as well to help these players out. Go and get whoever it's in the market. If they're close to winning the division, go and make that move. Don't
Yeah.
wait and hesitate. They need to make those moves for that to happen. And
It,
not just them. I'm pretty sure the Rangers are going to be out in the market to look for a better player, and the Astros too. They've never stayed quiet in those instances where they need to pick up a player. And this is what happened in 2017 with the Astros. They went and got Verlander. They put all their chips on the table, and they got the World Series.
yeah.
So it
It's going to
worked
come
out for
down to
them.
the trade deadline, definitely. Whoever makes the right move there, it's going to win this division.
Yeah, and like we said, the Angels have these players where they can go ahead and trade within division to try to make their team a lot better. So we'll see once it happens. When we get there, it should be July. I bet you, dude, that's gonna happen in a blink of an eye. We're gonna open the season Thursday, and we're gonna be already in mid-season form, which is in July, and it's gonna be like, what the hell? Didn't we just start it?
Exactly, man. That's how fast baseball games go. We have baseball every day, but somehow the season moves at a fast pace.
Yeah, yeah. All right, let's move to the next one. We have the NL East, and this one's a little bit tough too because we have three contending teams, and one of them it's not looking so well, but the Nationals are okay. So, Ernie, go ahead, man.
Yeah, well, let's start out with the number 5 team, the Marlins. Fortunately, they have some top pitchers coming back from injury. Sandy Alcantara, Yuri Perez look very promising pitchers. Now, I don't see if they're going to keep them for long term or they're going to be able to hold on to them for the future, but it looks like they're great trade pieces to develop and get more prospects down the road. It's just a Miami Marlins team that did not do enough this offseason for me, and they're depending and riding on these young studs. Not sure if it's enough to win this division, that it's really deep. Now
Yeah.
you have a Nationals team that depends a lot on James Wood, Dylan Cruz, CJ Abrams. They have a lot of great pieces coming up, but they're still too young. They're not ready for MLB playoff level yet. You know what I mean? There's tiers to this. Unfortunately, the Nationals sit there probably falling 10 games under 500, but they're going in the right direction. They have a great closer like Cal Finnegan. You know, they continue to develop their players, but they're not ready yet. That rebuild is still up and coming. Now, this is where it gets interesting. We have 3 teams that are all playoff caliber. You have a Braves team that brought some great pieces this offseason and are depending on their players that are coming back from injury. There's a lot of question marks there. Will they, Ronald Acuna, Spencer Strider, will they be back to form like they were in 2023? That's the most important question for this division. You have a Mets team that brought the biggest superstar in baseball, Juan Soto, spent a lot of money, and they made a nice deep playoff run last season. And you have a Philly team that has been continuously in the playoffs every season. They continue to be in the just this close to being in the World Series, and they somehow fail to win it all. And they're getting older as we speak, and they continue to go. Not sure where they're heading. Either they're going to start going up or down, and that's the main question there. But for me, I have the Mets falling in 3rd place in this division. I don't see them making the playoffs. I think, unfortunately, Juan Soto, they're going to become Juan Soto dependent here. I think they're going to need the most out of him to become a division winner, but I don't see that happening. And the pitching has a lot of question marks. Having
Yeah.
Clay Holmes as your opening day starter, that's been the main question for me this Mets for the past couple of years. They just don't have the right pitching. Kodai Senga has been a bit banged up and hoped he could come back to form.
Hmm.
So that's why I have him in 3rd seed. Now, the Phillies, I have them in 2nd seed. I don't see them winning the division. The Phillies are just going to cruise by all season, Carlos. That's what they do. They know that there's no rush in winning the division. They know they're going to beat the Braves in the postseason. They have nothing to worry about. As long as they make it to the playoffs, that's all they really care about. And
Yeah.
that's fine because it really doesn't matter. At the end of the day, it's about winning the World Series, not the division. So
Yeah.
I have the Phillies winning 2nd, and I have the Braves making a comeback this season and finally being able to win this division again and overtake the NOEs. Why? Because Ronald Acuna at the end of the day is still a stud. Spencer Strider is still an ace. And if you have them coming back by the month of May, they're still going to play a lot of baseball and be able to overcome this Phillies team.
Yeah. You know what's crazy, dude? I have the same exact picks. I feel like the Marlins are gonna have a fire sale. They're gonna start and trading players off to develop their team again because that's the type of ownership they have, and is it good for baseball? I guess you know. I don't know. Contra might be a Yankee by the end of July or the mid of
Maybe
July
sooner.
or sooner. Exactly. So
Mm-hmm.
we'll see what happens with them. The Nationals are trending the right direction. Abrams is one of the top players there, and I mean, they're doing everything right now. They're making little trades here and there. Hubert Reeves, the catcher, he's still there as well. He's developing. You have other players are developing with the Nationals, so they're trending the right way. I have them in fourth. The Mets, I have them in third, just like you. They are Soto dependent. Their pitching staff, I thought that they should have. I thought they were going to go and get more pitching. Instead, they got a hitter on their lineup from last year. Remember, they made it to the playoffs. They did everything they needed to do to get there, and they beat the Braves, and they played against the Dodgers, and they had a nice lineup. Now imagine if Soto was in that lineup against the Dodgers, it would have been a different story, or would have been the same story. I don't know. We'll see this year, but their pitching is not up to par in that division. You need pitching, at least one more pitcher. I just feel like Clay Holmes is one of those players that we've talked about it all this offseason, how he was a relief pitcher and now he's going to be a starter. Is he going to be able to go all 162 games or 162 season being a starter? Is he going to give arm fatigue? And this is the first time he's going to do it. So we'll keep a close eye on that one, of course. And then Sean Manaea is not even pitching yet. You got Kodai Senga. We don't know what's going to happen with him. He's injury prone. So the Mets need pitching. Maybe they need to go out and talk to the Marlins and see if they can go ahead and get one of those pitchers from there. Right.
They also lost Luis Moreno this year, and he turned out to be a really good pitcher for them. There's just a lot of question marks there, man. This Mets team has what it takes to win offensively, but the pitching is a lot of question marks. Edwin Diaz, can he be the real closer that he once was, and be one of the best closers in the game? This Braves team, though, is a tricky division because that Braves, Spencer Strider and Acuna are the biggest difference makers for that team. And even though they have other pieces, they went ahead and got Jurickson Profar. They got Michael Harris. They had Austin Riley. Can't forget about him. Matt Olson. It's a deep team. It's well built to win. Now, you know how injuries are. They're not easy to overcome. You have Spencer Strider that's just coming back from a Tommy John. And then you have Acuna coming back from an ACL injury. Those are two tough injuries from the game of baseball.
Yeah, and you don't forget the Cy Young Award winner. You have Chris Sale there in that staff. You have Ronaldo Lopez on that staff. You have Spencer Schallenbach. Like, these guys are throwing good. They're throwing pretty good. So I'm comparing them to the Phillies. The Phillies is not no joke either. They have a nice pitching staff. I know Ranger Suarez. I just heard a couple of days ago that he's going to start the season in the IL, but it's not a It's not a sprint. It's a marathon. And you said it. They like to cruise through the whole season playing 500 or first place baseball or second place baseball. But I just feel like the Braves are going to get their key players at a good time to fight for that division. And I think that's what's going to overtake them. But I do see the Phillies battling that wild card spot and battling for them to make it into the playoffs. And that's not they're a playoff team for me. Just because I'm not picking them to win the division, that doesn't say that they're not going to win anything else. Yeah, no, they have a star power team. You have Kyle Schwarber on that team that hits home runs leading off. He had 38 home runs last season. That's a lot of home runs leading off. And then you still have Bryce Harper, Trey Turner. All these guys are really good. And then you're talking about their bullpen. I know is there a good bullpen last year. And I did say at the trade deadline, they need to go ahead and get someone for their bullpen. Why? Because it's always important to ask for more players, to ask for players that need to be there. So yeah, I think that's what I'm picking. But I am picking the Braves to win the division.
We have Brian here in the chat. He's saying Braves need an intense guy. They're two down for whatever. Who's could be that guy?
Carlos? To step up like a Chipper Jones.
We should. We need somebody, man. Chipper Jones would be.
Like so okay. So I know in the 90s you had David Justice for the Braves. You have a lot of players, but for the Braves right now, Acuna is going to be that guy that's going to step it up. He has been that guy. He took on the role of being the leader. I think he wasn't there all year last year, and the Braves still made it to the playoffs.
Yeah.
And the year that they won the World Series in 2021, they still, won the World Series without Acuna, but he was still in the dugout. So for me, I think he's the one that brings the noise. He's the one that brings the attitude. He brings everything to that team. Now, if he's not there, you need like an Austin Riley to step it up. You need
Yep.
like you need someone else that's gonna back Acuna up because Acuna, yeah, he's that presence, but you need also someone else. It's a co team thing. I don't know if you agree with that.
Yeah, for sure. It's contagious.
It should be contagious. It should be contagious, but I think the Braves, like I said, the Braves are in the right track. They're all young. They got small contract. I don't know how they pull that off, where they have small contracts.
They
And
pay
they
them
have
early,
great
man.
players. Yeah,
Once you know, you got to pay them because
yeah,
today's price, yesterday's price is not today's price, and they get really expensive if you wait till their free agency.
yeah, yeah. I agree, dude. Sorry. So yeah, I guess we agree on this one, dude. We definitely agree that the Braves are winning the division on this one. I know we have someone that's a Philly fan here, and he's gonna text us and tell us you're picking the Braves. Are you serious? So
Yeah, we're gonna get crap from John Murrow. Brian says 100% Harris will be the offensive catalyst. Plus, he's from ATL. They need a guy who will yell. Hey, man, Michael Harris is still 23 years old. He still has some pop in him, and he could still be that main guy. He could be the next promising player they have in that Braves roster because they need that from him to be the next guy. What about Jerkson Profar? He could also be that. Now he came from San Diego.
dude, there's a lot of people that don't know how Jericho Profar is. Jericho Profar is a person that likes to smile, likes to crack jokes, likes to have a presence in that clubhouse. So you're right. He could be that guy. He could be a guy that's kind of like, okay, let's start. We're too serious in here. Let's live it up. And that's why I'm pretty sure they got him. And to the Braves credit, they keep adding other players. They went and got Chavez to be in the bullpen again. It's the fourth time I believe they get him. I'm not sure. I think it's something like that, right? He goes to other teams and then comes back to the Braves, and he does phenomenal there. So
Wait, how old is Jesse Chavez, by the way?
he's
I've
probably
been
like
watching this guy since I was a kid.
he's probably like 41, 42, dude, somewhere around there. But
Sounds
he's
about
still
right.
doing it, and he does it with the Braves. So I mean, you got to give him credit. You got to give him a lot of credit for that. So all right, let's move on, man. Next slide, next topic. We'll talk about the AL East, and the AL East is not as easy as we think. And none of these divisions, now that we're talking about them, I'm like, man, am I okay with these picks? So go ahead, man.
Yeah,
Talk about
you're
the
right.
AL East, dude.
Man, this is going to be a tough one. I mean, you have a race team that has a lot of young talent. Yandy Diaz, oh man, the Lowe brothers, Ryan Pepio. It just concerns me with the injuries they have. They lost Shane McCallahan for a long time. He had a severe injury today, some nerve damage in his arm. So it's not looking like he'll be available anytime soon. They're going to depend on a young Ryan Pepia. So that's why I see them finishing fifth seed this year. They're not going to be playing at home. They're going to be using George Steinbrenner Field in Tampa. It's not easy when you're on the road 162 games.
That's not. It's not. It's not. And I
So,
agree with you, dude. I think the Rays, I just don't see them doing anything. They did get Han-Sang Kim. He's
yeah.
a firecracker too, so he can start up a team and get that vibe going. They had that in San Diego, so but that's not enough. They need more. So Yandy is probably gonna get traded this year. They're probably gonna have a fire sale, man. And I've been seeing that fire sale thing a lot, right? I think I don't know. I guess
Yeah.
it's becoming a theme.
I mean,
So
that's the thing with these teams. They know they're not going to compete. They sign just these players for that 1-year deal. Come trade deadline, they just get rid of them and they get all these prospects. It's like
yeah,
a repeating cycle. They do this year in, year out, and they just hope that these prospects hit and they
yeah,
don't want to spend money. So this is the problem with ownership these days. We want to see them invest in these top tier players, but somehow they just want to develop prospects and not pay. And the
mhm,
moment they do, they're like, see ya, we'll get somebody else. So, but going again, fourth place now, the Blue Jays. I think we could all agree that this Blue Jay team has a good team. They brought in Max Scherzer, a veteran presence. that could eat up some innings. Jose Barrios still in the mix. They got the guys, Kevin Gossman. They just need some. They just need a bounce back season from Bo Bichette. I think he's a catalyst player they really need to take over for this
Yeah.
division, but I'm not sure what we're going to get from Bo. And then we have Vladimir Guerrero, who is in his contract year. I do see him going off this season and having a lot of home runs. He could probably be that guy that hits 50 home runs this year, Carlos.
Yeah.
He's looking great at the gym. He's been putting in work, and he wants that $600 million deal. You know, he's been a dispute with the Blue Jays list lately with the front office. It hasn't been great. They've been short on his money contract. And this guy may have to leave at the end of the season because he's going to want to get paid like he deserves it. There's
So
not
you
many
don't
that
think?
great first baseman. Sorry. Just going to
Yeah,
throw that
there's
out there.
not. There's not. Do you think that's a distraction though for Vladimir?
No, not at all.
No.
I think
It's
he's going to take it to another level. You've seen contract years come every single time, and these players take it to another level.
That's true. That's true. All right, man. I didn't mean to cut you off. I just wanted to ask you that question.
Yeah, for sure.
Next.
For
Go
me,
for
the
it.
big surprise here, and it may shock a lot of people, I don't see the Yankees winning at all. I have them finishing third place. I think they're having a World Series hangover this year, Carlos. They already lost Garrett Cole to the season. Clark Schmidt's starting the year in the injured
Yeah.
IL.
Mm-hmm.
Who else is out? They have a lot of pitchers out for a bit, man.
Stanton's not going to be there. You're talking about Goldschmidt was out a little bit in the spring training. He's coming back already, so he should be there. And then we heard, of course, that Cody Bellinger is going to be batting right after I can't even think about
Aaron
him.
Judge.
Aaron Judge. And it's going to be a crazy lineup, but is it a lineup that it's good in 2025, or was it a lineup that should have been good in 2017? So
You're right. I
so
mean, with the departure of Juan Soto, that's a huge loss in the middle of the lineup.
yeah.
Because we've said time and time again, previous seasons, that were Judge dependent. They go ahead and bring Juan Soto, and you see the difference. They make it to a World Series. Now you lose them again, and they're going to depend all on Judge. It's going to all fall on him. And it's unfortunate for him because you brought in a Cody Bellinger that who may have a pretty good season this year with the protection of Judge, and with the Yankees right field pole. But I don't think it's enough. Like you said, I think it's in the wrong time. 2 MVPs like Goldschmidt and Bailey that were great back in 2018, 19, and it's past their, not that they're past their prime. I think it's just that they're getting to that point in their careers where they're not as effective as they were in their MVP seasons, right?
Yeah.
It just happens. It's part of the game. You get older and your skills eventually fall off.
Dude, I didn't chime in on the other picks, but the picks are exactly the same as me, and it is a shocker that I am picking the Yankees as well in third place, which is crazy. That's why I went in and butted in to say that that's what's going on with the Yankees, and I feel the same way. Brian, thank you guys. Thank you for being on here. If you guys haven't done so, let me go ahead and take that right now. If you haven't done so, please subscribe and like the video. We really appreciate it. If there's something we need to talk about, go ahead and put it on there. Brian is just saying right now that Max Fried will make fans forget about Petit. So we'll see. We'll see.
Yeah, man, he's a great pitcher. That was a great pickup of Max Fried, right? A 6-year, $184 million deal. But is he the answer? Is he going to be that true ace? The pressure's on because now with losing Garrett Cole for the season, he's going to have to take the role of the responsibility of a true ace,
which is Andy Pettitte. Andy Pettitte, that's what he's saying. Andy Pettitte was one of those pitchers that was an ace pitcher, and he stepped up. So if Max Fried does that and he takes the Yankees under his wing, that could be a different story, right?
Yeah,
it could
for sure. And then we got Luis Gil, who's out till a couple months from now with a shoulder injury. So there's 3-4 arms that are missing from this Yankee team. And then you're going to depend on Marcus Stroman, who they didn't even want. And now you have to keep him because there's no one else. You have Carlos Carrasco making the roster for their starting rotation. How do you feel about that?
Whatever gets them through the season, man. I look, we can talk about the Yankees and have them go and say, you know what, they were in the World Series last year. Did they belong? A lot of teams are saying that, oh, if we were in the World Series, we would have won it. We could have, like the Mets are saying that. The Padres came out saying that if we would have bit the Dodgers, we would have won the World Series. So a lot of teams are coming out and not disrespecting the Yankees, because that's what the Yankee fans and Yankee players are thinking right now. They're feeling like they're getting disrespected. No, when you're talking about baseball, you're seeing the errors. you're seeing the pitchers, going down. Like Gary Cole's a huge player for the Yankees. If he goes down, then you start thinking and start panicking. Like, who's going to be my ace? Is Max Fried going to come into independent form? Is it going to happen for them that way? And then if Aaron Judge goes down, who's going to step up for the Yankees? Who's going to be hitting? Is Cody Bellinger going to be the guy? Is Goldschmidt going to be the guy? Is Stanton going to come back and he's going to be the guy? Like, we don't know that. Last
Yeah.
year, 2 years ago, 3 years ago, it's been Aaron Judge dependent. You've been saying that since you started doing this show, and that's just you should have it as a trademark.
Oh man, yeah. Well, it's happening again in 2025, and this Yankee team is gonna have to depend on a healthy MVP type season for Aaron Judge for them to even compete and be in the wild card mix.
Yeah.
Now, going second seed, I think we could both agree Orioles.
Yeah, Orioles.
I just feel like their pitching depth is question marks again. It's a same repetitive thing that happens every season. They're too young offensively. Gunnar Henderson starting the season in the IO as well, dealing with an oblique injury. Jackson Holiday, can he finally take the next step in his game and be that player he is, that number one pick like he was?
Yeah.
And Kyle Bradish just hurt again. There's just a lot of question marks. They signed Kyle Gibson for a 1-year deal. I feel like they just signed pitchers for 1-year deals and just to make it to the playoffs. But it's like, is that really the answer to make a deep playoff run? That's the problem.
They have instead of them signing Corbin Burns, they went and go ahead and sign Charlie Morton, and they think that's the key for them to move forward. But you have Bradish that's injured, and all these injuries are happening, and they did not sign Santander. I think that was a key player for them. I know he's batting 240. Those 30, what is it, 41 home runs? 41 home runs, dude, is like crazy.
44.
Was it 44? There you go, 44. 44 home runs. You let 44 home runs go. Now you're trusting on your young core team. Now they're juniors now. They're not. They started freshmen. They went to JV. Now they're playing varsity ball together. Now they should be able to win the division or go harder into, maybe to the World Series. So I just feel like this Orioles team, I think they need to step up this year. I just don't feel as confident for them winning the division. Wild card, definitely. But I just don't feel like they're there yet. I've been saying it since we're doing this show. Like, I think they need that veteran presence. And they haven't got them, dude. Like, what? Like, get someone.
You get frustrated watching it, right?
Yeah.
We have Jamal saying they signed an 80-year-old Charlie Morton. He still got it, Jamal. Give him some hope, man. The guy still throws some heat, but it's not the same. You want to see a young caliber all-star type ace player coming to your rotation, and you're signing these veterans that, we don't know what we're going to get from them. Kyle Gibson, 1-year deal. Charlie Morton, 1-year deal. When are you going to pay for a pitcher? Because you have to if you want to win.
Yeah.
And they did bring Tyler O'Neill. Can that replace Anthony Santander? He does have some pop. Can he copy his game? Maybe, but a lot of question marks here. They didn't want to pay Santander either, and that's the problem with these owners. They're not spending money, and it's frustrating for a lot of MLB fans because we see the Dodgers on the other side, and it seems like they have money for days, and they just continue to spend, while our teams are over here just struggling to even spend for one single player. And that's why most MLB fans are frustrated. Can you let us know in the chat? Are you frustrated with your team? I mean, I know Jamal's an Orioles fan, right? I think he's not too happy probably right now. Brian, let us know who's your team too. We would like to see how your team's going to do for this 2025 MLB season.
Yeah. And you know what? I'm going to go back to the Orioles. That frustration of not getting that veteran player. I'm old school baseball. I'm all about old school baseball. If you've listened to this show before, you've heard me talk about back in my days, like you go back. We should have a segment called Back in My Days, maybe. But I just want to go back to that. I just feel like sometimes having that veteran presence and having someone that you can go to and talk to, like that has been in those situations, it's a key moment for these younger players. And this is the third, fourth year now for the Orioles. This is the Orioles' chance to make some noise. If the Orioles do not make this run or do not make it further into playoffs this year, because they've been making it every year, but they fell short in the first series. So
they haven't even won a series, huh?
No. So I know as when you're a Dodger fan and the Dodgers lose in the first series, we choke. So now the Orioles, they don't have that title, but yes, they're choking. They're choking every time they go to the playoffs. So this is the year. I think this is the year they got to do it. But I'm picking them second on this division, and I am picking them in the wild card. And I don't know
Okay.
which one yet. I don't know if it's the first spot or the second spot. And I'm hoping I'm wrong, dude, because I really like this Oriole team. I really
Yeah,
do. I
they
really
have
do.
they have a lot of promising pieces. You got Rushman, Jackson Holiday, Colton Cowser, Ryan Mountcastle. They have the pieces, right?
They do.
Offensively, it's the
They do.
pitching,
Yeah.
and that's been a question mark. But for our division winner here, I think we both can agree the Boston Red Sox. What? Yes, a team that took a very quiet offseason the past couple seasons. They went ahead and spent some money and make the right moves, right? They went
Yeah.
ahead and traded for Garrett Crochet, gave him some prospects. They did their job. They went ahead and got some pitching. Garrett Crochet. We bring in Walker Buehler after having a strong playoff performance, which is great. So they
Mm.
bolster their rotation, and you bring the best third baseman in the game, like Alex Bregman. Now it's causing some chaos in the dugout and their team, but they're gonna figure it out.
Yeah.
They're gonna have to respect one another, and it's part of the game. If you're sucking in defense, we're gonna go with the better guy, and that's part of the game. Brian said he's a Braves guy. Young teams will overpay for an old man because they're worth in the clubhouse.
Yes.
That's a perfect example. And I think this is why the Red Sox went ahead and got Walker Buehler. He's a winner. He
Yeah.
proved that World Series comes around and he's not scared for the big moment. So you're gonna spend that 1 year, 20 million if he's worth it. Why not? He's a
Yeah.
veteran presence that you really need in that rotation.
Yeah, and you know what? Going back to that situation with Devers and what's going on there, I think it's not going to blow over. They're going to talk to him, and they're going to try to get it to where they're doing the right thing, where they have more flexibility in the infield with Bregman. Why? Because he can play second base, he can play shortstop. He's a shortstop by trade, if you didn't know, right? The Padres have nothing but shortstops in their team, so it might be something that we start seeing now that every player that makes it to the major leagues was a shortstop. So I think with that, we're gonna see Bregman play either. I don't know if short because Trevor Story is gonna be there at short now, and Trevor Story hasn't played. Probably, I feel like he hasn't played in the past 3 years. So I saw him today in spring training, actually. So
He missed the whole season with a shoulder injury. That was a
yeah,
pretty nasty injury in Angel Stadium on opening day.
on
He
opening day.
missed and he missed the whole season.
Yeah, so you're gonna have more flexibility with Bregman in that team. Bregman's the leader. He's won World Series. He knows how to get there. He's gonna have these young guys make it deeper into the playoffs. And you said Bueller's another guy that's in the pitching staff. Now you have Crochet that might be able to get a Cy Young award this year with the Boston Red Sox. He could get that. He could be that guy. He could be a difference maker for the Red Sox. So that's the reason we're picking the Red Sox, and I think we're in the same boat on all these picks, Ernie. Like only with the AL West was we were a little different, but I think
Yeah. What
we're
the
on the
hell?
right track, I guess. And we didn't even talk. What the hell? I thought we were gonna have different picks.
You know what? We think too alike, man. We need to be different.
Yeah,
It's
I know.
fine. It's part of the process. I think this offseason, just some teams spend money and some didn't. And this is what we're debate. Why we're choosing these teams, right? The teams that made a
True,
difference in the offseason.
true. All right, let's move on to the last division, and that's the NL Central. And
Well,
I'll
we
go
actually
ahead
got a
and
couple. We got the AO and the National League. So
yeah,
second to last.
second to last, second to last. Go ahead.
All right, we'll speed this up because we are the power hour. And I think that central divisions are kind of the more boring divisions in baseball. These are the divisions that don't really spend money. So let's just get it off the bat. Number 5, the Cardinals. Sorry, they just didn't do enough for me. Move on.
Exactly.
They're
Mhm.
not rebuilding the right way. I'm not sure. This is not the Cardinals way. And I think St. Louis fans are really upset with them. Pirates,
Before you continue, are they going to trade Arenado before the trade deadline?
yes. Out of
What team?
getting
What
traded.
team? What team?
I wouldn't be surprised if the Dodgers make a freaking move at the fucking trade deadline. Why? Somebody's gonna get hurt, and the Dodgers gonna make the move.
All right, you heard it here. Go ahead, man.
Yeah.
didn't mean to stop your inspiration, but go ahead.
All right. 4th place. We're going with the Pirates. Paul Skeens, what a star, but they just don't do enough there in Pittsburgh. They just hope their prospects develop to be aces like Paul Skeens is, but unfortunately, they don't have enough supporting cast for him. So
Hmm.
we could go move on. The Reds, man, you know what? No, I'm going Brewers third. Why? Because I just feel like they had a great year, but they lost Willie Adames, and I think that was a huge presence.
Hmm.
And I feel like Nestor Cortez, I'm not sure what we're going to get from him. And
Yeah.
Freddie Peralta had a kind of a midseason. He's promising, but there's a lot of question marks. You lose Devin Williams, another huge loss. I'm not sure what we're going to see from this Brewers team, but they could always surprise us. Now,
Yeah.
for me, I see this Reds team making a push for the playoffs. I feel like they're going to fall short for the division, but this Reds team has what it takes to win. You have Ellie De La Cruz, who is going to be, honestly, for me, have an MVP type season. Unfortunately, he has to go against Shohei Ohtani and Juan Soto, which I feel like that's why he'll fall short. You bring in Terry Francona, who's like a manager that's been in the game for such a long time and it's known about winning. So I see the Reds fighting for that division, but falling short. And lastly, the Cubs will win this division. You know, you bring in Kyle Tucker, a veteran like Justin Turner, and you got to win. And Chicago expects that when you're spending this much money for a manager like Craig Counsell,
Yeah.
who's been a
And
proven winner.
they're playing top dollar. And what did I say about Bruce Bochy with the Texas Rangers? The same thing I'm saying with Council with the Cubs. And they did their trade. We don't know if Kyle Tucker's going to stay with the Cubs, but he is going to perform because he wants that big contract. He's hearing that he might get 600 as well. So why not perform for the Cubs? The Cubs have they're in the good division to where they can go ahead and run off with it. So I am picking them as well. The Reds, like you said, I think they need to slow down their strikeouts because you have a lot of players on that team that strikes out too much times. If you put the ball in play 30% more on the field than striking out, and let's say Cruz has 221 strikeouts last year. If you cut down, let's say 60 strikeouts, and you put that ball in play, then you're on base a lot more. You're stealing bases. You're doing different. You're causing havoc. You're doing different things for them to win the not win the division, but maybe go into that wild card spot. So the same thing, man. I don't know what else to say about the Central. I mean, we're not saying that they're boring. We do know their players. We talk about their players all the time, but it's just I feel like this it's a division where they need to put more money into their teams, and it's not happening right now. So yeah, let's move on to the AL Central. And this is the last one, dude. And we're gonna hit that hour too. That's pretty crazy. Didn't
Yeah.
think we're gonna do it.
I mean, we've been pushing through, but number 5 here, White
Yeah.
Sox. We could all agree is going to be one of the worst teams. Fortunately, they're still holding out to Luis Rivera. And I think that's the last trading piece they have available for this trade deadline, unfortunately. Fire
I
sale
heard
again.
I heard that they want something huge for him. They want a lot of stuff for Robert, and I don't think they're gonna trade him. And if they do trade him, they'll probably trade him to a team that's not even competing. They're just gonna trade him for prospects that want some. Maybe the Pirates could be a team that could be looking for a player like that. So
Yeah.
we'll see. Yeah. Fire
All
sale.
right.
Fire sale.
Number 4, the Twins. Can we all agree there? Royce Lewis can never stay healthy. It's just, man, every time you look at this team, they have potential. They always fall short, and it's getting really confusing there. Like, it's going to have to either be time to move on because these guys can't find a way to win. Now,
Mhm.
third, man, we're between what? The Guardians, the Royals,
And the
what's
Tigers.
and the Tigers. Shoot.
Yeah. Yeah. That's so that's what makes it hard with this division. When you're talking about Cleveland, we're always saying that okay, they have enough pitching, but what's going on with the hitting? And they're always in the mix, and they always make it to the playoffs. Then you have Detroit. You have the best pitcher there in Detroit that can possibly be a great pitcher in any stadium he goes to, but he's in Detroit. So we don't know what's going to happen there. And in Kansas City, Bobby Witt Jr. He's one of the top players and top shortstops. He carried that team last year, and that pitching staff there is not that bad either. So those three teams, that's going to be difficult to pick. But for third place, who do you got in that division?
Okay, I'm going to surprise you here. I have the Tigers.
Tigers?
I don't, even though Tarek School was coming off of a Cy Young season and he had a great playoff run, there's just something about this Tiger team. I feel like they're still in the rise and they're still developing their players. Last year was not that it was a fluke. They just got hot at the right moment. I just don't feel like they have that star power they really need offensively, and they're still developing their players. I do see them finishing above a 500 and they may be competing for a wild card, but don't see them making this or winning this division at all. Now, the Guardians are going to finish second. Man, this is a tough one. For me, I don't want to flip a quarter. It's either the Royals or the Guardians, and it's going to come down either in the final day of the season. And it all depends who's going to be healthy. But like you said, both teams are great. Just with Bobby Witt, you got to give the Royals the edge
A
on
little
this
bit, yeah.
because he is coming off a potential MVP season. If he wasn't competing against Judge, this guy would have been an MVP. He's only 23 years old, and he's going to be the next star in this game. And the Guardians, unfortunately, they got rid of some guys. Getting rid of Josh Naylor, and they got a pitcher, Slade Sony from the Diamondbacks, was not enough. Like, what are you doing? You go ahead and trade Andres Jimenez, your defense specialist, to the Blue Jays.
Mm-hmm.
And there was just some question marks, even though Stephen Bulk brought this team together, and they're underrated as hell. They play so great baseball mentally, physically, but I feel like they're going to fall short this season for that reason.
So is Buxton playing in a bubble suit now? I mean, he should be playing in a bubble suit if he's going to be getting hurt all the time. Look, listen.
Yeah, him and Royce Lewis.
Yeah, listen. I just feel like, dude, as I got older, I was still playing a little bit of baseball here and there, and though Bleak is I don't even play anymore, and my Bleak still hurts. And these guys play in and out, in and out. I understand there's injuries, but dude, like, you have so much in that team that can help you, develop better ways of eating, your diet, workouts, stretches, and they don't take advantage of this. And I'm not saying they're doing that, but when you hear injuries, you just feel like as a fan, you're like, man, what the hell? Why is he injured? But I guess what I'm trying to say is that, damn, man, it must be hard being a player and then getting injured. It's frustrating. I bet
really
it's frustrating. Really frustrating, especially if you have a promising year this year that you could potentially win the division and go a little bit further in playoffs if you just stay healthy. And that's what sucks for you, man. So
it's frustrating as a fan. Imagine a player.
Imagine the player. Imagine the player.
Because he wants to play ball. Like they're no Anthony Rendon's. Anthony Rendon's a different story. But these guys want to be out there, but every time they step into the field, something happens. Something gets tweaked. Something goes wrong. It's unfortunate, man. These guys do have potential. Spencer Torkelson, a number 1 pick. Brian, you make a great point there, man. That guy that was promising, had a lot of great pop last season, was struggling severely. He got sent down to AAA, and he couldn't even find his swing there. So, man, there's a lot of question marks for me for that Tiger team. I think they definitely need some guy with a lot of pop. Riley Green, Parker Meadows, Javi
Baez I haven't seen him.
Gleyber Torres. Like, who's going to be that answer? Who's going to take the next step and be that star for that team? That's my question mark. I'm sorry. One injury to Tarek Skubal, and their season is done. I'm sorry.
So is it Skubal dependent?
I mean, they brought Jack Flaherty.
They have Jack Flaherty there. He brought that.
Or are they going to treat him again? And it's still,
So they brought So this is a good thing for the Tigers. Like, if you look at it, you have AJ Hinch that has won the World Series with the Astros. He has that mentality of winning the World Series. And then you have Jack Flaherty that he had that great run with the Dodgers. Now he's going back to the Tigers, can bring some of that energy into the team. This is how they did it over here. Let's try to do something different over here with the Tigers to try to make a great impact. And maybe for when they get to that July point of trading players, maybe they're looking for players to make their team better. So we'll see. And it's up for grabs. The Central, it's up for grabs for me every year. I feel like the White Sox have been a team in the previous seasons that they've had the roster, they've had on paper they look great, and then they never show up. And then the Guardians are the ones that are winning the division. Now you have Kansas City and the Tigers in the mix. That's great, man. It's good for baseball. And that's how we need to see every division kind of being so hard to pick a winner. It should be that way. And it seems like right now we're picking the obvious choices, of course, but the Central is not that easy to pick. The AL Central, by the way, it's not that easy.
It definitely is, man. It's been flip-flop every past decade. We don't know what to expect. And this is the beauty of the game of baseball. We may be going with the favorites like everyone else. I did say Mariners. That's my one crazy pick this season. Yeah. And people may say, what the hell? What are you thinking? Hey, they do have one of the best rotations in the game, and that's the beauty of it. Pitching wins championships. Last year was a different outlier, though. Yeah, the Dodgers didn't have the pitching, but they had the bullpen.
So that helped them.
I mean, but we had never seen a bullpen win a World Series. Let's be honest.
No, no. Last year was an exception. So maybe the Mets could be that team that has that bullpen and they have the hitting. They get
Nah,
they.
that bullpen's weak. Let's be honest.
It's okay. It's okay. It's not the best. It's not the best in the East either. So they could just get hot, and sometimes you need that hot streak getting into the playoffs, and that's what the Mets had last year.
The
So
Mets, the
yeah,
Tigers. There was a
the
lot of hot
Tigers.
teams that got
Yeah,
hot in the right moment. The Padres were the hottest team in baseball, and the Dodgers took their magic.
24 innings. I'll say that. Or what is it? 24 or 27? Forget
Yeah,
what
man.
number it is.
But
Yeah,
are you
it's
excited for
funny.
baseball this season?
Hell yeah, I'm ready. I'm ready for Thursday, man. I'm ready for the season to start already.
Defending champ, right? That's
I
must.
can't I can't watch spring training right now. I don't know. I just for some reason they went to Japan. They had 2 games. Excited for that. And then they come back spring training. I was starting to watch it and I'm like, it's not the same. I'm just waiting. I'm just ready for Thursday to start. So
It's
hey,
just because it doesn't count. That's the problem. And then these players only play one at bat, 2 innings, and it's kind of like okay, I'll just wait till Thursday.
true, true. If you haven't done so, please go ahead and put the share button, the subscribe button, the like button. We are on YouTube and, of course, all the social media platforms you guys can think of. We're on it, and you guys can comment on our videos. Let us know what you guys want us to talk about. We are a live show. If you guys put your comments on here, and if it's your first time on here, you saw that we do that. Um, this is what we do. We do have a fantasy show as well. That one comes out on Thursdays, and they speak fantasy baseball and they speak news too. So hop on and ask these guys questions. If you have a team and you need to win, some of the guys have been reaching out, have won their championships in their fantasy. So if I were you, I'll reach out. So definitely looking forward to that. All right, we reached that point, Ernie. You want to give your last mentions?
Yeah, well, I just want to thank everybody for tuning in and listening to our show. We'll be here every Sunday night, starting at 7 p.m. Pacific time. We hope to catch you guys every Sunday here. Talk baseball. It's going to be an exciting season. We're going to all be here supporting against the Dodgers. You know, Dodgers are the toughest team right now, so I think we're going to be rooting for them to talk all season.
No,
So
no,
it's
no.
an
You said we. No, no. I won't. I'll be rooting for the Dodgers.
come on,
You.
Carlos.
Yeah.
This is not the Dodgers way, man. They're not supposed to be this good.
It's not, but I've said it before. If you're a Dodger fan, watch every game. You said it. Watch every game because we are not guaranteed to have an elite team every year. We don't know how long we're gonna have this for, so enjoy it. If you don't know how to deal with it, since I don't know how to deal with it because I've never been part of an elite team or go for an elite team like that.
Yeah.
The Lakers, they're good. They're an elite team, but
Right.
other than that, for the sport that I love and like to talk about, never have I experienced this. This is something different. This is a different experience for me. All the hate, it's welcome. So
Okay.
I mean, yeah, I guess that's what it is. Just means if they're not hating on your team, that means your team is not that good, right? So I'll take it that way.
You're totally right. We're witnessing probably one of the best elite teams. We're talking about the 1990 Yankees type level,
Yeah,
similarities to that. And
yeah,
probably even better.
yeah, definitely. All right, we reached that point in time that we got to log off. But if you haven't hit that like button and that's share and that subscribe, please do so now. I'm Carlos Baseball. This is Ernie Orange. This is Real Talk Baseball. Signing out, guys.